Now, the hitbacks between Red Bull Racing and Mercedes don't seem to stop these days. Toto Wolff and Christian Horner always have something to say, it seems. And lastly, Helmut Marko, RBR advisor, had something to say about the Felipe Massa title challenge, in which he wants the 2008 Lewis Hamilton title to be given to him. But Helmut should be the last person to speak up on this topic, because if there are any legal obligations for someone to be stripped of a title, it would be Verstappen's controversial maiden title win in 2021. Now, as the legal dispute heats up regarding Felipe Massa's attempt to claim the 2008 Formula 1 World Championship, Helmut Marko, an advisor to Red Bull, recently shared his thoughts on the controversy surrounding the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix. Marko's comments came after Massa initiated legal proceedings in the UK High Court to challenge the results of the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix. In that race, Lewis Hamilton won his first championship and Massa finished as the runner-up. The 2008 Singapore Grand Prix, which is famously known for the Crashgate scandal involving Renault's Nelson Piquet Jr., played a crucial role in deciding the championship. In a conversation with the Austrian publication Kronenzeitung, Helmut Marko discussed what happened during that race. He mentioned that the timing of Fernando Alonso's pit stop during the race raised suspicions, saying, "Even the specific lap they chose for the pit stop seemed questionable." Alonso, who was driving for Renault, gained an advantage from Piquet's planned crash because it happened at a time that coincided with the deployment of the safety car. Marko added, "Afterwards, it was an open secret. I just wondered why it took so long for this affair to be uncovered." Although the plot to manipulate the race outcome became public in 2009 after Renault fired Piquet, it was only earlier this year that former F1 boss Bernie Ecclestone revealed that the FIA and the FOM knew about Renault's actions before the end of 2008. Marko acknowledged that these revelations could have an impact on Massa's legal challenge and said this, "If there are new facts, the matter can be reopened, and then the chances for Massa are not so bad. The only question is, where will we end up if we had to re-evaluate many other races where there have also been incidents?" Then, in a sly remark aimed at Lewis Hamilton, Marko brought up the recent fuss about Hamilton not congratulating Max Verstappen for his record-breaking 10 consecutive race wins. Marko said, "It was terrible to see Massa celebrating winning the title in Brazil for 20 seconds, and then suddenly it was all gone. I would like him to win the title, and Mr. Hamilton, for whom records are not so important, would then have one less." This is the second time Helmut Marko has been involved in a controversy this month. He's been criticizing Perez for months and recently made a racist comment about him. Normally, Red Bull would take swift action against someone making such statements, but Marko is not officially part of Red Bull Racing, so in a way, he's untouchable. Even Christian Horner, Red Bull Racing team principal, described Marko as reckless with his words. Now, Marko's recent comments targeting Hamilton are seen as inhumane, especially because they were made in defense of his favorite driver, Max Verstappen. Marko is a veteran in the sport, but he is 80 years old, and Red Bull Racing would probably prefer if he retired without causing drama around the team. Marko, of course, apologised for his words against Sergio Perez, but he can't take back something that's already been said. And his recent comments about Hamilton's title claim by Massa is obviously because of his disliking toward Hamilton rather than Felipe Massa's support. But why has this incident become the centre of attention now? Well, Felipe Massa, the Brazilian racing driver, believes he was unfairly denied the Formula 1 championship in 2008, and he plans to ask a British court to overturn the result. Massa lost the championship that year by just 1 point, but a scandal involving a possible intentional crash in one race and revelations that have emerged in recent years have prompted him to seek a reversal of the outcome. Despite the significant time that has passed, Massa remains determined to not let this case drop. He stated, "I trust and truly believe that we will prove what happened was not right. I am the champion and I feel that." However, some people in the sport are uncomfortable with re-examining such an old case. Toto Wolff, the current head of the Mercedes team, expressed concern, saying, "If everyone starts revisiting past situations, it could cause chaos in the sport." While Massa's lawyers sent a formal letter asking damages last month, Formula 1 has not commented on the claims and didn't respond to a request for comment on Wednesday. Massa's renewed efforts come after Bernie Ecclestone, who was in charge of Formula 1 at the time of the incident, revealed in March that he had prior knowledge of Piquet's deliberate crash long before Piquet publicly confessed. Ecclestone admitted that they decided not to take action at the time to protect the sport and prevent a major scandal. He also mentioned that he convinced Piquet to keep quiet. Ecclestone stated, "According to the statutes, we would probably have had to cancel the race in Singapore under these conditions," he said. "That means it would never have taken place for the World Cup standings. Then Felipe Massa would have become world champion and not Lewis Hamilton." He added, "I still feel sorry for Massa today." When this interview caused controversy in the Formula 1 world, the 92-year-old Ecclestone claimed he couldn't remember giving it. Hamilton, who holds the record for the most wins in Formula 1 history and has become even more popular through his appearances in the documentary Drive to Survive, has chosen not to get involved in the debate. He told reporters last month that he's not really focused on what happened 15 years ago. If Formula 1 is worried that changing the results of an old championship would lead to more issues, it's understandable because there are already several contentious matters. With his 7 titles, Hamilton is currently tied with Michael Schumacher for the record. If he were to lose his 2008 title to Massa, he would drop to 2nd place. In the March interview, Ecclestone mentioned, "Michael Schumacher remains the only record world champion, even if the statistics say otherwise." Well, this could potentially reopen debates about other disputed titles as well. In the final race of the 2021 season, a controversial decision allowed a final racing lap, giving Max Verstappen the opportunity to pass Hamilton and win the championship. Formula 1 later admitted it was a mistake, but chose not to change the standings. If the 2008 championship were to be reconsidered, Hamilton's Mercedes team might request a review based on the 2021 era. Toto Wolff, the head of the Mercedes team, expressed interest in the Massa case and its implications for that disputed title. This situation isn't the first time that old sport titles have remained contentious long after they were recorded. The Italian soccer team Lazio still disputes not being awarded a league title from a season that was interrupted. To put it in perspective, the title Lazio claims dates back to 1915. Massa's legal argument revolves around the idea that when a driver becomes an F1 racer, they agree to F1 rules, including one that says a season is final 4 days before the FIA prize-giving event. They do this with the expectation that the FIA will fairly ensure a fair championship. Massa's team aims to prove that if the FIA knew about cheating before the season ended but didn't act to protect its reputation, then the FIA didn't hold up to its end of the deal. Therefore, rules like the one stating the season is final 4 days before the FIA prize-giving event shouldn't be considered valid anymore. Some sources suggest that Piquet Sr. informed the FIA during the 2008 Brazilian GP well before the FIA prize-giving event. Whether the British courts will agree with this reasoning remains uncertain. It's important to note that not all questionable FIA decisions can be challenged using the same argument because they don't involve new information that could have changed the decision at the time. For instance, an incorrect decision made in the heat of the moment is different from a situation where new information comes to light after the race. In the end, it's possible that the court could rule in favour of Massa, declaring him the rightful 2008 champion, but without changing the official results of the 2008 season. This might involve providing monetary compensation to acknowledge that Massa should have been the champion. However, this outcome depends on the British court accepting the argument that the FIA failed in its responsibilities to the drivers. But if this does happen, you can expect many new legal arguments from the teams.